This year's World Pharmacist Day may have come and gone, but it did make its mark. Executives and members of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, PSN, stakeholders from the fields of medicine, regulatory bodies, students, civil societies, youth and others assembled at the event organized to mark World Pharmacists Day in Ibadan, to deliberate on a critical issue that is presently eating deep into the fabrics of the society. World Pharmacists Day 2018 was tagged Pharmacists, Your Medicines Experts. The Oyo State chapter of the PSN marked the occasion by setting wheels in motion to address the drug abuse menace, which has generated a lot of discourse in recent times. Drug abuse, in simple terms, is the patterned use of a drug in which the user consumes the substance in amounts or with methods which are harmful to himself and others. The issue of drug abuse is not limited to a particular geographical area or age group, but it is more prevalent among young people. The rate at which youth abuse drugs in our society today is alarming. Nigeria used to be known as a transit nation for illicit drugs, but unfortunately it has since moved to become a consuming nation. Youths, they say, are the leaders of tomorrow. Sadly, a sizable proportion of youths are throwing away their future by indulging in drug abuse. Without a doubt, a youth under the influence of drugs will find it hard to live his or to her full potential. Where does this leave us as a nation? From the foregone, the Drug Abuse Roundtable initiated by the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria couldn't have come at a better time. The maiden edition of the meeting was indeed very revealing as stakeholders bore their minds on the issue. The guest lecturer at the event and Director of Pharmaceutical Services at University College Hospital, Ibadan, Pharmacist Helen Oduton, noted that drug abuse is destructive and lamented that even prescription drugs are now being abused. She opined that the issue of drug abuse has now become a challenge to the practitioners.
Even though they bring a lot of benefits, they can also cause harm. And we need somebody, because the medicines are all over the place, we need a gatekeeper. Somebody who is going to be at the gate. The medicines are on one side, people are on the other side. Somebody has to maintain that gate to make sure that people are not just using medicines anyhow. That people use medicines that are appropriate for them. They use medicines when they are sick, they will be able to get medicines that they can afford. In the universities too, the lecturers too are also doing a lot of research to make sure that this drug is very expensive. How can we make a cheaper type? There's a lot of research always going on and on about that. So that gatekeeper that is not making the drugs just pass on to the society for them to use it anyhow. Who is that gatekeeper?
The chairman of PSN, Oyo State Chapter, Pharmacist Abiodun Ajibade, admitted that the level of drug abuse in the society is causing the nation great havoc as addicts now pose security threats to people around them.
In the last few months, we got a BBC documentary, African Eye, and many of us, even our government, were thoroughly embarrassed to understand the level of drug abuse in our society and how it has caused and is causing our nation great havoc. As pharmacists, we are not happy because all these products that are being used and are being abused, they are our children. We created them in our labs, we produce them in our companies, in our manufacturing outlets, we dispense them in the pharmacies. But unfortunately, many people are taking the negative side of this drug.
At the end of the maiden edition of the Drug Abuse Roundtable, it was resolved that drug abuse is destructive and real. More sensitization by the appropriate authorities on the dangers of drug abuse should be heightened. Government should put in place adequate legislation to bring drug abuse to its lowest points. Drugs should be handled and used in a manner in which they are prescribed. Access to drugs should be restricted to only the legally recognized and registered pharmacists who are under continuous regulation as to ensure proper handling of all kinds of drugs intended for treatment and management of disease conditions.